Austria's biggest lake, the westernmost steppe lake in Europe, separates the eastern foothills of the Alps from the little Hungarian plain. It is an area with Alpine, Pannonian, Asian, Mediterranean and Nordic influences. Result is a unique natural environment in Central Europe, which is home of a tremendous variety of different flora and fauna. In 1993, the National Park Neusiedl Seewinkel was funded, and since 2001, this region is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
It is one of the windiest areas in Austria. Wind energy is used since the 17th century in the form of windmills. This area here around the Lake Neusiedl and South Bohemia were the areas with the largest concentration of windmills during the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy. Today there is only one windmill left in Podersdorf am See. Until the interwar period and even until shortly after the Second World War, there were several places here on the Austrian side of the Neusiedler See where windmills were in use. Later they were dismantled or destroyed.
Die Podersdorfer Windmühle ist die größte Windmühle Österreichs.
The windmill in Podersdorf is the largest in Austria. It was first mentioned 1809 as a wooden post mill. 1849 it was purchased by Lorenz Lensch, who converted it into a Dutch tower windmill.
Am dritten Boden oben ist die Herrlichkeit der Mühle.
On the third floor is the glory of the windmill. A wooden gear nearly 4 meters in diameter, which is originally preserved. It is driven by the cross tree when the blades are rotating. More gears and posts transfer the energy to the millstones in the ground floor.
Dreht sich mit dem Brustbaum, der im Erdgeschoss das Stockrad dreht. Dieses Stockrad greift in die Mahlräder ein und es drehen sich die Mahlstangen, Mahlräder, Mahlstangen. Die Idee, den Wind zu nützen, haben schon unsere Vorfahren.
Our ancestors had the idea to use wind power for grinding the corn, as there is no possibility to use hydropower in this region. Today, wind power is used to gain energy.
Das ist das Gleiche und ich glaube, sie haben sich das abgeguckt bei uns.
After 10 years of wind speed measuring in different areas, it was clear that the amount of wind is best at the Pandorfer Platte. It is comparable with the best winds 10 kilometers landinward of the Northern Sea, where wind power is at its best. Lying between the foothills of the Alps and the foothills of the Carpathians, the area functions as a tire. This situation on the Pandorfer Platte is perfect to run wind power plants.
Und das wirkt hier auf der Pandorfer Platte, wirkt sich bestens aus für den Betrieb dieser Windräder. Natürlich hat sich auch gemeldet BirdLife.
The organization BirdLife was afraid because this area is an important bird transit area. They had concerns that the rotor blades could harm or kill the birds. But corridors between the wind parks have been planned to prevent damages on BirdLife and even provide space for rest. These precaution measures satisfied the local government to issue the building permit for the wind parks.
Also so gesehen wurden alle Kriterien erfüllt und dann hat die Landesregierung auch die Baugenehmigung erteilt.
Der Katzensteig war für unsere Gegend eigentlich eines von den wichtigsten.
The so-called Katzensteig is a very important feature on the roofs in this area, as there are strong winds 90% of the time. The Katzensteig has a height of about 10 centimeters above the roof tiles. It prevents the tiles to be blown away by the wind and protects the roof. Between the Katzensteig and the tiles there has to be the so-called Wetterleiste, which prevents the ingress of water between the tiles and the Katzensteig.
Ich habe mir nachher aufgezogen, dass eigentlich kein Wasser eingegangen ist zwischen Katzensteig und Ziegel. Man hat nachher auch bei den Kaminen, bei den Rauchfängen geschaut.
Another important feature on the house considering the wind is the design of the chimneys. The openings of the chimneys are built rectangular to the main wind direction. Otherwise, winds could push back the smoke into the house. There's a very important detail in our region.
Den Rauch runterdrückt hat. War eine ganz wichtige Sache da bei uns in unserer Gegend.
Der See ist einer der wenigen Seen in Österreich, wo es wirklich
Lake Neusiedl is one of the few lakes in Austria where there are strong winds quite often. Therefore, the lake is the most ideal surf spot in Europe.
Jetzt nicht zu vergleichen mit dem Gardasee, der es halt thermische Winde hat, aber trotzdem hat der Neusiedler See sehr viele und sehr starke Winde.
Das Neusiedler Seegebiet ist ja bekannt auch als ein Gebiet.
The area around Lake Neusiedl is known as a tourist destination. Tourism began between the wars. Around 1920 the first beach resorts have been erected and the first yacht clubs have been founded. In that way, sailing sports was an important part of the early tourism. Also, in the post-war period, sailing played its role in tourism until the 1970s and 80s. Today, most of the water sports are done by locals or by people with weekend houses. There are practically no tourists who come here for sailing. Many day visitors come for wind and kitesurfing. The importance of wind-powered water sports for tourism is very low.
Was Surfen betrifft, von Tagesausflügen. Also die touristische Bedeutung des Wassersports, sozusagen des windgebundenen Wassersports, ist eine sehr kleine. Es ist viel stärker im Bereich der Sport- und Freizeitgestaltung.
The eastern shore of Lake Neusiedl is one of the windiest areas in the European inland. The people of this area learn to live with this natural phenomenon and even know how to benefit from the winds.